Hey Ken, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Not bad, can't complain. Um, well, we want to talk a little bit about your story, but I'd like to go back as far as Cortland. So, can you talk to me about your Cortland experience and how that may have benefited you thus far in your career?
Yeah, so I actually transferred into Cortland after getting my associate's degree from Paul Smith College. Kind of a complete change in career paths. Paul Smith, I was doing outdoor recreation and then transferred over to Cortland to do sports management. I didn't come into Cortland until my junior year, so I had kind of a different life experience and different college experience. I mean, Paul Smith at the time was 750 students, and then entering class at Cortland at that point was 1,500 between transfers and freshmen. So, I mean, just new students alone at Cortland was twice the size of my entire school. But the biggest thing that I found with my experience at Cortland was that I actually enjoyed classes for the first time. Um, I was not I was a mediocre student. I did just enough to get by in high school and really kind of just enough to get by at Paul Smith's, and then was like, I really enjoyed the sports aspect at Cortland. So that's where I was just like, I took 21 credits each semester for 2 years. Just because I was tired of school, but I also just enjoyed the topics as well. But so I was just ready to enter the working world.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I felt the same way. I mean, high school, I was probably about an average student, and then once you get into Cortland and you're in sport management and you're really enjoying the classes and you're passionate about what you're learning, it definitely makes it more exciting and easier to do.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, and then, so can you talk to me about your role with Ironman?
Yeah, I'll kind of go back a little bit farther in my story. After Cortland, um, with the practicum and everything, we had to do our internship, obviously. So I was really just getting into triathlons myself. So at that point, Ironman was kind of the penultimate end all be all as far as the world of triathlon. Um, so I went down and did my internship for Cortland in Tampa. Moved down there for the 6 months. Was down there June through November, and worked in the corporate office for that for a while. And then after that, moved back home, trying to figure out life. Started out part time at Fleet Feet Sports in DeWitt, and then kind of worked my way up to assistant marketing manager there. And then when Ironman Syracuse came on, we were a sponsor. As far as Fleet Feet, since I was in marketing, we were sponsoring the run course and doing a lot of stuff for them. And there's a really long story about how some things transitioned, but shortly after that first year, throughout the setup, they were looking for somebody local with Ironman experience, and so that's where I kind of slotted in. And that was I was getting the phone call for that 10 years ago this month that I got that phone call to see if I'd be race director for an Ironman event.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. So it's been a while.
Yeah, I was
Um,
actually in San Diego for a Fleet Feet conference. I was flying back and I had 10 missed phone calls from the guy who was putting it on, and then when I finally landed, he was like, "Hey, do you want this?" So I left Fleet Feet in September because at that point, Syracuse 70.3 was middle of September. So I left there in September, put it on, and that was 2010.
That's awesome. That's one of the things you hear with people who have found success in the sport industries. They take advantage of situations like that.
Yeah, it was
So
actually taking a pay cut, but it's just something that I really wanted to do,
mhm.
and it was a big deal. So that was a big reason. It was kind of always the dream at that point to take that on.
Awesome. And then finally, can you tell everybody a little bit about InStride Sports?
Yeah, so as I said, I've been with Ironman for 10 years now, and about 3 years into it, I think it was about 2013, 2000. Yeah, I had to have been 13. Um, just looked at how professional events were with Ironman, and looked at how well things were done, and thought that there was kind of a hole in that avenue within the Syracuse area and the Central New York area. I started at the time, brought in a few business partners, and we started the Syracuse Half Marathon, and that was our big one at the time. Our first year, we had 1,100 people do the half marathon downtown. I mean, it's grown since I sold my shares. They've done more with it than I could, and they've grown it to like 5,000, 6,000 people. But that was kind of the idea, was just wanting to do local small events and bring kind of the professionalism of that here. And don't get me wrong, I definitely made a lot of mistakes and took for granted the Ironman way, that like having a team, doing athlete services, having a financial team, having a marketing team, trying to do it all myself was something I never really thought of until I was into it. But yeah, I mean, over the years, we've had probably 6 different events. Some have lasted, some haven't, ever since then. But yeah, now it's really just myself. My wife volunteers here and there at events. But as far as setup and productions and all that stuff, that's typically all myself.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you for this. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to hopefully staying connected in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks
I'm
again.
excited to be a part of the advisory board. Actually, an alumni from Cortland who kind of met me prior and was an intern for myself, Greg Armstrong. We were just talking about that stuff, and just talking about how, like, the advisory board, and it's nice just talking to current students and alumni and just sharing experiences. One of them was crazy that I forgot who else was on the board. It was somebody from Madison Square Garden was on the advisory board, that was supposed to happen back in the spring. And I was like, I don't understand how I fit in, like, just myself being someone who I view myself as a small fish in this big pond that, a lot of Cortland alumni have gone on to do big things. I thought that was interesting. So I'm excited to be a part of it all.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of all the students and recent alumni, we do appreciate what you do for us. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
for sure.